Hello, my name is Zombie878 and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this YouTube video, I'll be showing you how to use the swing handle and make a sword that will react to either objects that you want it to react to or either make it damage players and their health bar goes down. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we are just going to get a simple swing handle. Well, before we get the swing handle, actually get an animation chip so it can stay up on its own. Let's get that. Go ahead and get the swing handle and go ahead and wire it to the clamp. Wire it to the animation gizmo and turn it on so it doesn't drop like that. Now, of course, we're going to make this swing handle a bit smaller so it actually fits in our sword properly. So make it pretty small. Don't make it too small where it's hard to get it wired to things. And let's go ahead and spawn a sword. Now, it doesn't matter if you use the prop sword, but in our case, we want to use something that's less ink. So I'm just going to use this sword I've made a few years ago. It's a very basic sword that doesn't got a lot of ink. I'm just going to turn on world space, and if yours doesn't come out completely straight and perfect, go ahead and hit on all these lines to make sure it is perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and align it to the swing handle. So the swing handle is going this way, so let's go ahead and rotate our sword 90 degrees. And let's go ahead and put the swing handle in the handle, because after all, you're not going to be holding the sword on the blade, you're going to be holding it on the handle. Okay, now we are going to get a clamp. The clamp is just going to hold everything together, so when we pick it up, oh, sorry about that. If your ding is physical, make sure that you just need to press undo on the maker pin if it does that. But if your ding is environmental or physical, change it to decorational so it does not move, because the swing handle will make it move if it's, you know, like that. Now that we made it decorational, it should stay completely still. Go ahead and find the swing handle wherever it is in there. Make sure that it is actually in the handle and not outside the handle. And we're going to connect the sword to the top of the clamp. This way, when we pick up the swing handle, the sword actually will follow. If any of you want to mess with the options in the swing handle, I didn't mention this, but if any of you want to mess with the options, you can. The options really don't matter on the swing handle, just kind of like the trigger handle. Anyway, next we are going to get a collision detection volume, which is a new prop, new circuit, which this will detect collision whether it's a player or object. So we are going to go ahead and stretch this up a little bit. You notice that if you stretch it too much, it starts going down and up if you manipulate it. You just need to make it a little bigger and just make sure that it's close to the center of the sword. And now that we got that, let's go ahead and scale it down a little bit. Scale it down to make a pretty good hitbox on the sword. It don't need to be perfect, but you do want it to be a good hitbox. Okay, that is perfect. So now that we got that, we are going to connect the collision detection volume to the top of the clamp. And let's separate the chips a little bit so they don't get in the way of each other. Now, if you want to have the player get knocked back if they're hit, you can keep this on and change this to local player. But if you don't, it's completely fine to keep that off. I'll show you how to impulse players if you do want to impulse them. I'm going to keep impulse objects on false because that is kind of useless. Well, not really useless, but it doesn't really do much. Okay, so now that we got the collision detection volume and the sword, let's go ahead and get our health value. So if you go ahead and type in HUD, get the game HUD element constant. We're going to place it away from the sword. Configure the game HUD element. You can change the name and things like that if you want. I'm just going to get a primary bar. I'm going to change the color. Actually, I'm going to keep the color orange. And I'm going to make the base value, well, actually, I'm going to keep this 0. For right now, yeah, because it's just going to change to 100 anyway once I actually set it. So there you go. There's your orange health bar or whatever color you got at the bottom of the screen. Let's get a set HUD, set game HUD element enabled. So this way, when your game starts, it will enable. The only reason it's enabled for me is because I went in there and hit preview, but any other person would not be able to take out a maker pen and do that. So make sure to connect it to this, turn this to true, and maybe get a event receiver that whenever someone joins the game, they get a HUD value. Or if you're making a game, which I have a tutorial on how to make PvP games and stuff, go ahead and connect the start game to the set HUD element. And we are going to make this player join just for this example, because I don't have all the game chips and I'm not going to set all that up. So whenever a player joins, the HUD will pop up on their screen. Now what we are going to do is we are going to get a int variable. We are going to place it right here. We want to get a subtract chip because we are going to subtract whenever the sword hits the player. So get subtract and place it below your int variable. Next, we are going to get a few more HUD chips. So first, we're going to get set game HUD element value. So place this here. We're also going to need a second one, so place a second one. And we are also going to need another int variable chip. Of course, if you want to, well, not if you want to, it's probably a good idea to name this something. I'm going to name this health. And I'm going to submit it. Do not make it synced. If you want to make it a cloud variable, you can. Now I'm going to copy up our health value, and I'm going to cross connect the health value with the subtract chip like that. And let's say every time the sword hits you, you will lose 10 HP. So let's go ahead and connect the on player hit to the health value down here. So whenever it detects a player, it's going to knock 10 points off their health. You're going to connect the value down here so it will set the game HUD element down here and connect it to the end of the variable there too. And now it's going to take away 10 health. But of course, first we want to make it so whenever the player joins and it turns on the HUD element, it also sets the health to 100. and that health value will be set here. That way you won't start off with 0 health, you'll start off with 100 health like this. And now if I go ahead and enable the collision detection volume, remember you have to enable them when the game starts. And now if I go ahead and let go of it because it doesn't actually detect the person who has it. Funny little fact there. So if you even if you have this invalid player, it's still gonna not detect you if you're the one holding it. But as you see, every time it hits me, I lose 10 HP, and it also impulses me. And of course, you can set up your health value however you want. I'm pretty sure I got a video on this, and if I don't have a video on it, you guys know what to do. Just like, comment, subscribe, and let's get this video to 10 likes if you want a health video. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and set up a little effect on the top of the sword so you know that you hit something. So let's get a emitter. Is there a V2 emitter? Uh-oh, I think it's just called emitter, not V2 anymore. They got rid of the V2. So go ahead and get an emitter. Go ahead and place it at the top of your sword. Go ahead and rotate it 90 degrees up so it's facing up. And now we are going to make sure that it is at the top of the sword right here. Let's move it down a little bit. I think that's fine. And let's move up the emitter. So we are going to go into the emitter, and we are going to make it so whenever hit 2 comes up, it will not loop, turn off looping. You're going to keep the size 1, keep the speed 1, and we are going to make sure it's synced so people know when they're getting hit. So go ahead and connect the emitter to the top of the clamp. Disconnect the on player hit and connect it to the start on the emitter, and connect the output of the start of the emitter to the health value. Now, whenever you get hit, not only does it make a noise, but it also plays the emitter effect at the top, so you know that you hit something. And also, if you hit objects, I do know that it starts making noise. So, what you want to do is go in your collision detection volume, and you're going to want to ignore anything with the base tag that everything has in the game, which is MakerPen object. And if you type in MakerPen object and add it, now if you go ahead and hit any object that has MakerPen, I deleted the MakerPen tag from that chip. Let me just get another one. So if I spawn a cube, the default tags on the cube will always be MakerPen object. So let's say I spawn 3 of these. As you see, it doesn't make no noise or react at all because the base tag is MakerPen object, and it ignores the MakerPen object. And you also don't need to worry about it hitting you when you have it, which is nice. Unless you let go of it, then you probably want to be careful. But now we are going to make it so you can't let go of it, and it does that. So go ahead and find your swing handle chip. We are going to get a add tag chip, and we are going to get a remove tag chip. And basically what this is going to do is this is going to make it so whenever you pick it up and you release it from your hands, it's going to add the MakerPen object tag, which, like I said, it ignores anything with the tag. It's not just an object. If you add a tag there to ignore, even if you give it to a player, it's going to ignore that tag. So give the person that's holding it the MakerPen tag, and whenever they release it, make sure the MakerPen tag is the one that goes away. Now, if you want to change it to player, because I know it's kind of weird to give a player MakerPen object tag, but I don't really, I don't really care. I'm just trying to make this easier. Um, so we are going to get a delay chip. The reason is, even if I get the tag MakerPen object, if I let go of it, since it gets rid of the tag right away, it still hits me. So therefore, I'm going to put a delay chip here. And I'm just going to make the delay like, I don't know, 1 second, maybe 0.5 seconds. You don't need to make it long. You just need to make it long enough. I mean, yeah, you just need to make it long enough for it to remove the tag before it hits you. And now if I do this, it should not hit me whatsoever. And it doesn't even get rid of my health. Now, there's probably a better way to do this, and I'm going to show you a different way. So, if you get a collision data chip, so go ahead and type in collision. Make sure, whenever you use a collision detection volume, you're going to be using a lot of these chips because that's the only way you're going to get like object data and get player data and things like that, or positional data. So yeah, make sure that you get a grip on the collision detection chip. So now it will get the player that it hit from the collision data, which is me for right now. If there was another player in here, that would change, but sadly I'm by myself. But believe me, I tested this out with my auto account yesterday. It works. If you type in if player, you should find if player is local. And basically what this does is this will make it so whenever you hit the player, it's going to get the player from that collision data, and it's going to make this local over here. And basically what that means is if there was someone else in here and you just set up this, it would actually also take away my health if their health was taken away, and take away their health if my health was taken away. So to combat that, you just want to get a collision data get player chip and connect it to a if player is local chip. And that way, whenever you go ahead and hit somebody, let me go ahead and make it so it doesn't add that tag. Now when it hits me, oh, I guess I still got the tag, huh? How do I check tags? But yeah, just believe me that it works. And now when I lose health, someone else doesn't lose health. And if you want to improve on this system for a PvP map, I will have a PvP tutorial up here in the corner somewhere. I don't know, I'm just pointing around. But if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.